one to go over what an abstract is. An abstract in an academic setting, okay? The abstract could be various different things. It's a brief summary of a research article. That's more of a formal definition that you see. It could be a brief summary of a thesis, a review, or conference proceeding. Those of you who present at conferences, you often have to submit an abstract. And it could be an in-depth analysis of a particular subject as well. It doesn't have to be a conference proceeding, but it's a brief summary of all these things: thesis, review, conference proceedings, or in-depth like systematic review, scoping review, meta-analysis. You probably have heard it all, seen it in your peer reviews. That's what an abstract is. It's just a nice summary, a quick preview. Those of you who are in business, a film industry, or media, it's a review or a preview of your research. Just attention grabber to tell the reader what you're going to be talking about, especially those of you who are writing dissertations, for example. It's 300 pages shrinked into roughly about a page, right? It's going to tell the reader what it's going to be. A lot of times when you talk about the abstract, it comes in this format. It's usually a background. It gives you like one sentence. What is the background? You have to assume that the readers do not have all information about your topic. It's going to tell you a purpose. Sometimes it's called aim or objective or main objective. It's going to be, there's going to be a method. If it's a policy paper, it's going to be like policy analysis, etc. The results of your paper, and then discussions and conclusions. That's going to discuss what the results mean. If you have enough room, it could be limitations as well as major recommendations for future research. So that's the format of an abstract usually. This is what you call structured abstract. And a lot of times sciences follow, the hard sciences, biology, chemistry, nutrition, etc., will follow a structured format. The humanities, on the other hand, may not. It could be just free-flowing abstract where it hits all the points, but it wouldn't be in this format. What does it mean for you? The format of the abstract, you're going to have the title. It's roughly going to be 200 to 250 words, one page. Keywords come at the end of the abstract. It doesn't count towards your 200 to 250 words. It needs to be double spaced because it's 7th edition APA, and usually does not have citations. It'll say something like the World Health Organization, stated in 19, so it wouldn't have the in-text citations in the abstract usually because of the limited real estate. Okay, this is an example of an abstract. So this is like more of a free-flowing, meaning it doesn't have all those headers, but it's an example of an abstract that is effective meditation on stress reduction in college students. That's the title. The abstract here, it gives you information. When you see your peer-reviewed articles that is required for this project, assignment 1, you may have seen abstracts like this, or the abstracts may look like this, where it's the same abstract and I put it in a different format here. It has background, method, results, and conclusion. I'm going to give you the PDF file of the PowerPoint. Don't worry about trying to read it all. But basically what it is it gives you a background. It tells you the study investigated the effects of meditation on stress reduction of college students. Background and objective could be placed together. It's not necessary. It all depends on who your audience is. The method in this case was a survey research of 60 participants, and it tells you how long, what survey it used, and then the results, it shows you significant reductions. Those of you who've taken statistics, for instance, if it's significant reduction, it'll have a p-value less than 5. All those information will be here. If it's statistically significant, if it's qualitative, it's going to just tell you what the saturation or what the major themes were for the results. And then you have the conclusion, depending on what was the major takeaway message from the study. And then if there's room, you may put limitations, recommendations. And then I ran out of room there, but afterwards there's keyword section where you put roughly about 5 to 7 keywords. In this case, the keywords would be like meditation, stress reduction, college students, survey methods. Some of those things may be in the keyword section. I'll share this with the format. It'll be easy to follow this format in order for you to write the abstract if you are struggling with it. I know silence doesn't mean that you understand everything. What do you need to do? Going back to your assignment, you're going to explain your program. In your background or main objective, you can combine the two depending on what you want to do. You want to talk about what program you're going to develop. The method for you is comparative analysis, right? You're comparing two existing programs. That's the method. And you're going to be very specific. All of you are going to, yes, use comparative analysis, but you're going to say, I'm looking at University of Texas at Austin and Stanford, comparing those programs in education, etc., right? The format of the paper that you're handing in for the assignment, like I said, I do not want it to be a writing exercise. I know all of you can write, but it's more of the applications. What you learn, how are you going to critically analyze and then give the information? You need a title page abstract, the table, that all the components that I'll go over again, and then the reference page. I'm going to pause the recording first. Is how do you get funding from other sources? Because you're not dealing with only academics, you're also dealing with community, business owners, people who want to help or invest in higher education, but they don't necessarily speak the academic language, and most people don't. It's matter of making sure that you are speaking the language that for us, for the abstract, this is for academic audience. So you have to write a certain way. We talked about academic writing, but once we get into the fundraising and how to get funding from other sources, your language and being able to, I know many of you have much experience in different sectors, and that's going to be really helpful to connect with different industries to get the funding that we need to sustain. No, not a problem. Okay. Once again, remember it's 7th edition. Oh my goodness. And it used to be 7th edition. Those of you who recently came back, I know 7th edition has lots of information about how to utilize the internet as one of the citations. And my advice to all of you is visit the library and befriend a librarian. And I'm going to put this in the chat. It's called Ref Manager. I think some of you who've taken my class a couple years ago when I started here, there's different ref managers that are on the market, but when you go to the library, there's going to be tool sets that's going to help you to cite as opposed to manually cite. Those of you who are especially pursuing your doctorate, in your dissertation, you need to definitely use these tools to make your life easier. Okay, explain your program, and then you're going to compare two similar programs that exist. Okay. Once again, these are the information that you need in the product that you're going to give. I know sometimes people ask me, what's your page limit? The page limit doesn't, okay, meaning if you picked Stanford and Berkeley for University of Austin, for instance, there's lots of information there. Therefore, you're going to have a table that's going to be fuller than someone who picked a school that is not well endowed and has lots of enrollment because it's a unique program that they're not offering at these universities. You, in terms of the tables, you want to just make sure that I'll go over the components that you need to have in the table. But before I do that, I know I hate taking off points for this, but like I said, in my intro classes, I'm very lenient, but here, depending on what your level, like I said, this paper is not elaborate. I want you to kind of look at some of the formatting. I will link all the websites that I'm showing you. This is APA 7th edition website. It's from their website and it's all there. This is a sample paper. And your title page is not going to have what you call a running head. If you are familiar with the 6th edition, we used to have running heads for everything. But for student paper, this assignment is student paper, not a professional paper, which means that the title page is going to look like this. It's going to have a page number, your title, your name, your affiliation, my name, and then the date of your submission. That's the title page. And then the format of your abstract, like I said, you'll have the background or a slight bit of information, purpose or aim. It could be combined together if you are limited by space. So for some of you, you may have lots of results that you want to talk about. It'll depend on how you want to structure it, but you want to just make sure that you hit all these components. You have the results, you have the conclusion, and discussions are the components of the abstract. You want to make sure that you have it all. And then once again, it is 200 to 250 words. The thing is, if you end up writing more than 200, 250 words, like one of your classmates have shared with you, you want to keep that for final paper. Okay, don't discard it. I just want to get a feeling of what you can do and kind of direct you, because it's assignment 1 is lower stake, right? If you look at the percentages, as opposed to later assignments where it adds up. Okay. The table, what do you need to include on the table? The table should include your program history. You're going to have a table that has program history. Some of the programs that you selected may be 1-year-old, or it could be like for me, the university that I went to, especially for undergrad, it has like 200, 250 years of history. And then for my other program, it has like 100 or 150 years of history, as opposed to some of the programs may have 10 years or 5 years. Mission, vision, goals, and priority are going to be part of, like I said, you can put it in quotation marks and then put the citation on it, because you're not going to rewrite the mission, vision, goals, and priorities for sure. So I'm going to put that information and just make sure that you put it in quotes. So you know that it's coming directly from their website or wherever you're getting them. Where they're located, right? You're going to have another setting for where they're located. What type of university is it part of? Is it public, private? Is it faith-based, etc.? That all of you were working on the Padlet. Objectives of the program. A lot of times the programs will have program outcomes. Sometimes they're called objectives or program outcomes. Courses offered or degree offered, do they only go up to bachelor's, or are you looking at the master's? And then you can put the website link in if you want me to take a look. And then for the rough estimate, we're not doing, the second assignment is the budget analysis and financial strategies, but I want you to kind of look at, for example, rough idea, which means the tuition. The example that I shared with you was University of Texas at Austin and Stanford. They're both great programs or great universities, but the tuition is very, very high, right? For Stanford versus University of Austin, if you're a Texas resident, for instance, out of state, it could be more expensive. Just looking at the tuition, the reason why I'm asking you to do this is because a lot of times when you're doing the comparative analysis, you want to pick universities that are apples to apples, but because I'm asking you to select a program that you want to develop yourself, which means that I can't really tell you to go pick a university that is apples to apples because it may not exist. I want you to kind of look at the tuition and then realize for yourself, oh, this one is private, this is public, this is how much is it for tuition, either per credit or per program, etc., just to get a rough estimate of what you're looking at. You're looking at if there's admission statistics, what degree or certificates are offered to get a feel for what kind of programs are offered in the area of your interests. For example, when you're developing a program, is it feasible to have a bachelor's program, for instance? I can give you an example. Up until recently, public health was all graduate programs. It's either getting your master's or a doctorate in public health. There was no such thing as the bachelor program because there was not a need for it until roughly about 5 to 10 years ago, where they realized that, yes, maybe we have to start earlier to get more folks into the workforce, into public health, because they're not going to go beyond the first level. They may just go into the workforce and that'll be enough. You want to just see what program, what degrees are given, what enrollment trends, if they have it, to get a feel for whether or not the program that you are proposing is feasible. A lot of times when we look at the budget analysis, we're going to look at market analysis. The program in your head and your small circle of, colleagues and supporters may say, ooh, that sounds wonderful. I think there's a need. It may not go beyond a little area, which means that the program is not going to survive. You're just looking at the viability, and it's a quick look. It's a snapshot. I'm not asking you to do this huge paper on comparative analysis right now. I just want you to kind of see, is it feasible? And then later on, you'll have to look at the comparison of these two programs for the final paper. And then lastly, you want to look at who's teaching these courses, who are the staff, what is going on in that program. You're going to kind of look at all those components, and does it have to be complete sentences? In this exercise, no. The mission, vision, strategies are usually going to be complete sentences. This is a fact-finding mission. I'm going to show you what it should look like. This is a table in APA 7th edition. It looks, you have the titles on the top. In this case, you have qualitative results, quantitative, qualitative, and examples. What you're doing is you will have the column of the variables that I mentioned, and then the results. You're going to just have these in each of the lines, and this is how it looks like. You should look at table 3. I'll have a link for you, but it'll be a sample mixed method table because APA has various different tables, descriptive tables, statistics table, which is ANOVAs, and linear regression has a specific table. But most of you, I think one of your classmates mentioned, it's more qualitative, a lot of words, summarizing them in a table. And I want you to start thinking about the 7th edition, just because those of you who are writing your dissertations or master's thesis, you are going to follow the APA 7th edition table. Okay. You found all this information in the Padlet. It's just a matter of transferring into the tables here. And then lastly, what do you need to do? You need to compare 2 actual programs with the websites. You need to include 3 peer-reviewed articles associated with your topic. That's going to you can include them in the table, or you can include them in the abstract. You can use that for your final paper, the 3 peer-reviewed articles that you have found. I just want to make sure that you're able to find information on your topic for your assignment 1. It shouldn't be too difficult, but then again, I know projects like these are really difficult for me because I tend to be a little bit more verbose. I like to write more, and I just want to see a snapshot just to make sure that you're on the right page, and then we'll go into more of the narratives when you get into the final paper. I just want to make sure that you have everything. And then in terms of the reference page, I'm going to move here. The reference page follows the 7th edition. I will have the link. Remember, it's a hanging indentation, and then there's references on the top as a title, and then it's an alphabetical order by the author, and you're going to have it for 3 of your references, right? For your work. You could have more than 3. The is 3, and I want you to save your PDF files. You have it on record. I'm going to just pause here.